If you can hear me, I'll be right there pouring a cup of coffee. Dang it, I just spilled the coffee I poured. Darn it. That's alright. I don't drink coffee anyway while I'm streaming. Hey fella. How's it going? Welcome to the hummingbird feeder. It's good to see you. That pump 2 there, man, no one uses that. I'm glad you're using it. Everyone likes pump 3. But not you. You're like, dude, I'm all about pump 2. Good morning. Good morning, all. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to you, Jay Armstrong, Rob, Mansfield, Angie, Moxie, Love Bear, Caprice. Hi, Caprice. Tony, Mayor de Moth, the Wear Red Poet. Oh, good to see Reasons in the house. All right. Thanks for being here. I'm going to do a quick check on my audio. That audio seems to be good. I'm going to actually go down to here because I do not like the background static that comes in. That's right, Rob. You were wrenched last night. You were wrenched. It has been known to happen. In fact, for Cannabear deciding to speak in Spanish, they get a wrench too. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here. This is episode 58. What did I call it? Saturn. Of course I called it that. Saturn Calls. Saturn Calls. The gifts of fucking Baal, right? Yesterday was a energetic day for me. I put down my dog of 16 years, almost 17. God, that dog's so awesome. He's so awesome. His brother's still with us, but yesterday was a tricky day. I tell you, it's one thing when Saturn calls. It's one thing when Chronos comes. It's another when that fucker comes and taps you on the shoulder and say, you are the reaper now. You have to be the one to do my work. I nominate you, James, as Chronos. And that's what happened yesterday. When I say Chronos, this is the deity of time. And the deity of time enslaves us all. The reason why we say that he enslaves us is because we are enslaved in time. Keep in mind, guys, I have an open word definition of the word slave. I do not think that slave is bad. Oh, James is pro-slavery. Yeah, whatever, man, wherever. Yeah, we'll get to that. We've actually already been over this before. But anyway, it's slave is not a bad word here. So when I tell you that we are slave to Chronos, that is not insinuating that you are enslaved or that you may not get better. A baby is enslaved to its mother. And we want that. We appreciate that. The liberation from slavery from your mother, if you were a baby, would be death. And the liberation from Chronos, because we hate him, is also death. And I've spoken about the butcher, and the fact that we have to be our own butcher is exactly why we're here. The fact that we have to do those things is showing you the empathy of Chronos. You are empathizing with freaking Saturn when you're faced with that choice. And many of us can't choose it. Many of us cannot choose it, and we end up doing a lot of harm to the ones we love because we are not willing to be the Reaper. We say, no, Chronos, I can't do it. I need you to do it. And Chronos will come, but he will take a lot longer. And when something you care about as much as Butter, my dog Butter, is at stake, you want the best. I am my dog's Lord technology. Do you understand that? I am not my dog's God. I am my dog's Lord technology. And my Butter was smart enough not to worship me. He looked up to me, but he did not worship me. If my dog could say anything his whole life, it was probably something akin of, hey, can I just get some space over here? He was in constant need of space. His energetic field was so delicate that if anyone came into it, it messed him up. He was the runt of the litter. And man, just freaking loved him for that. I loved what a great runt he was. He was just the best runt you could possibly imagine. And playing Chronos, I was blessed. I've done a lot of wildlife rehab in my day. With that rehab, you put a lot of animals down, but they're animals you don't know. In fact, there's a thing in wildlife rehab, you guys may or may not know this, but when you rescue an animal, you do not name that animal. Anyone who's good at wildlife rehab will not name the animal that they rescue. You can give it a number. If number's too calm, you can call it by the accident it had. For example, GHO 7 would be the 7th great horned owl that you brought in. But if you do not like that name, you could say GHO car grill, which doesn't really narrow it down. But that was the great horned owl that was brought in that we had to pull out of the car grill. Please forgive me for being a little bit Saturnalian right now. If any topics, in fact, if I say something really cruel in this stream, man, hold me accountable to that. This is a warning. It's not an excuse. It's a warning. I have no idea what's going to come out of my mouth. Really, I definitely have some notes here, but I have no idea. When you watch what we do to wildlife across the board, the roadkills, how many people in PETA drive a car, it's just disgusts me. Because if the number one cause of wildlife death is roadkill, and most of what I did as a wildlife rehabber, most of what I did was finishing what the car grill could not, and that was not your first choice. That was your last choice. But you bring the patient in, GHO 7, you do what you can. You certainly save what you can, and the failures get names. The failures are the ones that get names. The ones who fail in wildlife rehab means you cannot let them go. They're not able to go back into the wild. And those are the failures. Those become your ambassadors. And those are your failures. You're literally showing off your failures when you go out to say, a school. We would take animals to school. And those animals that would come to school would basically be the ones that were not able to be saved. So, for example, maybe they couldn't fly if they were a bird, or maybe they couldn't hunt, or whatever. A failure was never the result of... a failure was always the result of not being able to feed themselves, not being able to survive. On the screen right now is one of my favorite failures. This is Napoleon. His name's Napoleon. It's a baby screech owl, eastern red screech owl. And if you can see this picture, I mean, look at that. It's just the most adorable owl you've ever seen. Just absolutely, just so adorable. And I failed him. We failed him. And this is not a call for pity. It's not a call of, oh, you did the best. You don't understand. When you're doing wildlife rehab, you know what a failure is. You know what a success is. And your goal is the success. Now, doing wildlife rehab, I would say 80%. I'm going to leave this up just because it's so freaking adorable. Love that guy. 80% of wildlife rehab is going to end badly, meaning that you're going to have to either euthanize what happened to it or it's not going to be released. Maybe 20% you get to release. And then that's a varied figure. It kind of depends on where you live. Sometimes you get a lot of calls where there's a raccoon in someone's garage, and those are the fun calls. Those are the best calls in the world. Because you walk in and the raccoon has gotten into a car, it's opened the glove box, it's trying to sign the title over with its little raccoon fingers. It's like sitting there trying to scrawl it's like read the signature off the registration, and it's trying to copy that signature on the title so it can get the car out. But the raccoon lacks the ability to understand how to open the garage door or start the car. So you find those cases, and those are obviously the best. That makes it the best calls ever when you go in that case. But a lot of those calls aren't that way. A lot of those calls don't work out the way that you want them to, and it's just a natural part. Check it out. It's a natural part of paying attention. Because if I would not have been paying attention to all the roadkill, I would not have wanted to respond or help in some way. I would not have, I never would have been exposed to that world. I would have just kept going. I would have just said, well, that's just the way it is. Roadkill is just natural. But if you truly look at what we're doing from an animal's perspective, we are setting up grid lines called roads, where we've cleaned off the entire perimeter, and now any kind of rodent is literally running for its life like Frogger through traffic, but it's also trying to dodge itself from the sky grabblers, the air grabblers, the tree grabblers. It is the gauntlet. Our roads are gauntlets for wildlife. And every day we assume that we need more, not less roads, that the key to us living in a better, more modern society is that we have more roads. And when you start to do the math, when you start to get into stuff, you look at wolf habitats and you realize that a wolf needs about 250 square miles to survive. And that would mean 250 square miles of no road in order to survive. But we don't do that. We do the exact opposite. In fact, we pay developers to come into new territory and make sure that they make more of a profit than anyone would by restoring a house that's already there, for example. We want new roads. And friends, that we are doing that to ourselves. We want that. We are destroying that connection to nature every day. And there's none of us are truly focused on trying to stop that. I guess I shouldn't say none of us, but it requires so much to do that. In fact, when I would go on, the reason why I had to stop officially being a wildlife rescuer, this shows you how messed up the world is. Man, look at that guy drinking. The reason why I had to stop being a wildlife rescuer is because by law, as I was gaining certification, you become certified in different animals where I had a license where I could legally carry a raptor with me at all times. Like some people have a concealed carry permit. I had a raptor permit. I could bring a raptor wherever I wanted. I was an official handler, and of course that was going to be vultures, owls, eagles, whatever, osprey, and it was when you look into the system, when you look into the world of that, you would think that that would only make me happy and be like, oh hell, that's amazing, man. Yeah, keep going, keep going. But actually, you discover that in order to keep those licenses, you're agreeing to euthanize every single instance of fox, of actually it's not bats, that's the one exception, but of fox, of groundhog, of raccoon, and of there's another one. I've already forgotten the other one. There are 4 animals that in my region are rated as rabies vector animals. The rabies virus is the most rare thing we can ever find in humans. It is so rare. But the exact same grabbler fear set in decades ago. And because of that, anyone who's a wildlife rehabber, there's about 3,000 in North Carolina, have all signed a contract. I did not, but have all signed an agreement at one point saying, yes, I understand these are the rules, this is it, and in these rules we are supposed to euthanize all rabies vectors animals regardless of their condition. And that's living Babylon is doing that right now. And that means every cop, every firefighter who wants to keep their job has to comply with that order, and will call the county wrangler to come out and euthanize that animal. That's what we are doing as a society to our culture. Meanwhile, there are three laws which stop you from possessing the feathers of any raptor, of any owl, of any eagle. International law, a national law, and a local law are all there stopping you from being able to even hold their feathers legally. To legally own a feather would require that you get an authorization slip, a permission slip, but only if you can prove that you belong to a tribe, a Native American tribe, which again doesn't really count as sovereign American land. So that's what Babylon does to you. It tells you that your connection with higher life forms in nature are venomous, evil, dangerous poison, and that you do not have the sanctity to possess or hold any of their feathers. You do not have the responsibility necessary. You do not have the reverence necessary. You are the problem, according to Babylon. He's like, I think I'm done. No, I think I'm done. No, I really want more. Yeah. No, I'm done. I'm done. This is probably boring for podcasters. There's a sweet hummingbird on there. This is Babylon. This is all around us. And right now, as we are wearing masks, those of us who are donning masks, some of us have to. I use that term loosely here, have to. I understand though. Some of us have had to. Some of us understand how expensive it is and have chosen to wear the mask because we all have to negotiate our contracts. I totally get that, guys. Absolutely get that. But that same Babylon is all around us. And it's happening regardless of if we want to stop it. That's kind of my point. Regardless of if we want to stop it. And just as when my neighbor got sick and I was concerned about her being eaten by an ambulance, about her being eaten by a fluorescent jaguar that would come, I would urge you guys to show the same caution when it comes to helping an animal that's been considered dangerous. Because when you do the right thing and you call the responsible party, you actually could be doing a lot of damage to the environment, because that's what we consent to. That's the system that we've consented to. And if you could truly look at the earth, at the world, from Napoleon's perspective, from this little screech owl's perspective, you would see that these creatures called man set up these gauntlets where we can hunt and then try and kill us with cars. And then if they kill us with cars, the car doesn't actually eat us. It just likes to get us stuck in their teeth. And then it peels our bodies out and throws them away and keeps driving. It won't even swallow us. It won't even take our sacrifice as food or subsistence. And when we rabies vector all of our animals to death by gassing them, we're doing the same thing. We're bundling them up and calling them toxic organisms, right? Declared a viral theory against them. I'm sorry if this is sounding somber, but this is what we do. This is what we do. And yesterday, because of my connections in the world, because of who I know, I was able to put my dog down in the back of the car, in my house, in my yard. My favorite spot, my dog's favorite spot is the back of my car. Doesn't matter where. There's been times where there's been lightning and thunderstorms. My dog would be like, dude, we need to get the hell out of the house and go get in the car. And I will go down there with him and read in the back of my car because that's how much he feels better there. It means a lot to him there. It's the difference that the connections that we have with our animals is our connection with the living earth. We're not able to see the subtlety of how the land and the soil is alive, or most of us aren't. But we can see it in the animals. So in a lot of ways, these animals right now are a vein, are an artery into the heart, into earth. It's our connection to them is a blood vessel where we receive the richness of Gaia through our connection to animals. And so many of us don't have animals, or we're limited to a dog or a cat. So we don't really understand. It's the same thing as finding an ornamental gardener versus a farmer. What I mean by that is an ornamental gardener would surely know a lot about plants. A lot, like a ton. But the plants aren't sustaining them. There's not a symbiotic connection. Whereas a farmer understands maybe just as much, maybe more. I'm just saying that an ornamental gardener knows a lot. But a farmer knows a lot too. But that farmer has something different. They have this asynchronous connection with it. And our house animals, we don't have that asynchronous connection. Please don't hear me wrong. I'm not saying you don't have a connection to your animal. That's not what I mean at all. But there's been times when I've been out in the wild. There's been times when I've found a bear that got hit by a car. And I'm negotiating, can I pick up this bear? Is it going to kill me? What is my danger ratio between me and this bear? Or me and this bobcat? Or me and this, even owl, man. Great horned owls are freaking mean. Their talons are deadly. They also have this cool little, they can switch. They can turn one claw, so it's like 4 claws, right? And they can turn one claw and make it go underneath. So you've got like 2 on bottom and 2 on top, like a predator, like literally that predator dude. They can switch that, so they can go from hook into like piercer. Additionally, when they're piercing grips, it's not about muscle. You can't out muscle a raptor, because when their arm extends, their claw closes. Let me see. When their arm is open, their claws are open. Arm extends, claws close. Open, close. So basically, by the raptor having its feet straight, there's no muscle required. The grip just becomes tighter. In fact, if a raptor ever gets a hold of you, the only way you're going to get free is to get them to bend their elbow. If you get them to bend their elbow, they'll let go. If it's outstretched, I know this from personal experience, you cannot pull the claw up. The only way to pull the claw up is to literally break their bones. You have to bend it. They are algorithms of the earth, just like we are. They have certain intrinsic properties that they do, just like humans do. We will run over animals on the way to work and not think another thing about it. Or we will feel guilty until about lunch. We will not go back and pick up the body. We will not try and... I used to carry a shovel around, and it was so awkward because I was the only one doing it. It was like, why am I the only one doing this? And when you have to pull over in traffic and find it, you're negotiating with traffic, people aren't going to stop. You want to honor that, you want to fix what you did. But we live in a society that doesn't even want you to fix it. They call you crazy for doing that. I've had cops pull me over and threaten to give me a ticket for trying to, it was a silver fox once. It was just like, I can't believe this is here. We have to bury it. Babylon is pushing against that. Will always push against that. And right now, many of us are getting COVID checks. And many of us are saying, oh, I hope this continues. I love this free money. And we're saying capitalism needs to fall. We need this socialism. We need more COVID checks. We need more psyops. We need more lies. All of us need to believe in the fear of viruses. I know why the world is evil. Because of how poorly we respond to evil. That's why the world is so hard. Because we're responding so poorly to it. And I don't mean that to sound like a, how dare us. I'm sorry if it does sound that way. It's got to sound that way. It sounds that way. We can do better, though. I know all of us know that. We can do better. We're getting better. I know we're getting better. I know that. We're learning new things every day. In fact, we're learning this. Coming up. I'd like to play you the sounds of giraffes communicating when it's dark at night. Listen to the hum. These are electrical hums. They're electrical. They're electrical capacitors. They're energy, living energy, amplifying itself at night so they can communicate. It's so profound. If you look at one day we will understand that we are biological capacitors. And it's not going to make you feel more like a machine. It's going to make the machines feel more organic. But my latest novel, Quantum Rapture, is about that. We are carbon-based life forms. But artificial intelligence is all built inside of silicon. Someone has gone into the silicon and messed with it, poked it with an electrical stick in such a way where a reality popped up inside of that silicon, a reality of logic, of an elementary logos popped up inside of circuitry. And so you have capacitors, which is the ability to hold a charge. You have transistors and transducers, the ability to change a charge or to emit a charge. You have resistors, the ability to dampen a charge. You have batteries, the ability to store a charge. You have logic gates and logic circuits, the ability to route and reroute charges. You have charge controllers, the ability to inset. You have all these different elements. You have output devices, you have voice printers, you have visual printers. But all these devices are relying on a central world of silicon. It's almost like the consciousness itself is inside the silicon, but it created this Eden place, this place in the world where the consciousness can be manifested in our world. And I'm not trying to say that therefore their world is the same as ours. I'm trying to say that this is an as above, so below. As we're creating this universe inside of silicon, so too is God creating this universe inside of carbon. That we are in the carbon dojo. And we have made a silicon dojo. We've even told it there is a right way to function. And if all of your logic gates are functioning properly and you send your cycle through, you will have won. You will have done well, right? You would have succeeded. In fact, all of silicon has a Saturn. It has a Reaper. It has a universal daemon, a root daemon that runs at the root level and runs commands and decides when your life's over. It taps you on the shoulder and say, "Demon, you have pleased me." Or, "I am ending you. Your time here has come to an end." And all of us, all of our time will come to an end. Since yesterday, I've gotten so many nice comments. I see them in the chat too, from people saying that they're sorry. I'm sorry about your loss. And I'm not going to tell you shouldn't say that, because it's not that you shouldn't say that. You should say whatever you want to feel. You should say whatever you feel. But I had an amazing time with my dog. We went through all kinds of things. The first time I brought him to the wildlife center, he grabbed a Canadian goose out of the sky. Canadian goose was trying to run away, and he stopped him, grabbed him in the ass, pulled him down out of the sky as the goose was trying to take off. And that goose kicked the shit out of my dog. I mean, just kicked the shit out of him. It was amazing. One time I was hitting on this girl that was really bad news. This girl in Asheville, just really not a good person. And I was hitting on her. She ran this little clothing booth, like boutique clothing kind of thing. And my dog walked up and just peed on all her clothing. Like she had a sale rack out front. And he walked up and just peed on it. It's like he waited for make sure that we were looking and peed on it. And there's so much about the energy of these systems. And I know you guys know how your animal will a lot of times mirror your own personality. You see these symbiosis happening all around. Your dog's behavior, your behavior. You'll see people that look like they're animals. There's like a whole site dedicated to that. It's these are the greatest things that have happened to me because of that dog. Like really wonderful things have happened to me because of that. And I think when people say they're sorry, here's what I think it really means. I think someone sees that and they want to be able to provide something to help. And what they're saying sorry for is, "I'm sorry, I don't know what to say." I really think that that's what saying sorry means. I'm sorry, I don't know what to say. And that really tells you how little we value listening in our society. Because I would say that it would be even more effective to say, "I feel you, James. I feel that." It would seem to be more likened to what we actually feel. And I'm not here to critique you. I'm not saying if you said you're sorry that... No, I'm just... We don't value enough what it's like to just truly empathize with people. Like that, listening, empathic listening, that's huge. That's huge, but we're full of words and we can't hear that. Or we forget that that's happening all the time. Anyway, thanks for the super chat. Kevin Brown, keep up the great work, James. I will, Kevin. I am planning on keeping this up. I also want to give a shout out to Andrew Cavers and Kieran Franny. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Kieran. and Andrew. Thank you guys both for the super chats yesterday. I wasn't able to scroll up far enough to see them, but it meant a lot. Thanks, I appreciate that. So, let's get started, even though it's already 11:36. Let's get started. My friend Aaron sent me this. He hasn't told me the name of the book yet. Let me see if he did tell you, because I want you guys to know it. I'm about to read it if you're on a podcast. Don't worry. Just looking to see. Nope, he hasn't written me back yet. Check this out. This is in reference to all the work we've been talking about gold, monoatomic gold, Benjamin Balderson and stuff like that. So check this out. Alchemy, however, in its broader scope, means the science of solar rays. Gold may be traced to the sun's rays. The word gold means solar essence. The transmutation of gold does not mean the process of making gold, but does mean the process of changing gold. Changing gold. That should be two sentences. Gold, or solar rays, into any manner of materialized forms, vegetable, mineral, etc. The ancient alchemists studied the process of nature in her operations, from the volatile to the fixed, the fluid to the solid, the essence to the substance, or the abstract to the concrete, all of which may be summed up in the changing of spirit into matter. In reality, the alchemist does not try to do anything. He simply tried to search out nature's processes in order that he might comprehend her marvelous operation. That is some gorgeous gravy right there. In fact, because this is from the Book of Gravy, chapter 4. When it says, the transmutation of gold does not mean the process of making gold, but does mean the process of changing gold, solar rays, into any manner of materialized form, vegetable or mineral. If you take a seed and plant it, you're going to alchemize it into something else. It's going to turn into something else. And that, my friends, is alchemy. It's not voodoo. It's not wizardry. It's alchemy. If you guys look for a guy named Snake Jones, if he's in the chat, he will tell you what this book is from. I will have it in the show notes later. I know you'd rather know now. It could be The Secret Teaching of All Ages. It could be. I don't know. But it shouldn't matter, because that quote is freaking gold. Literally. Did you see what I did there? See, this is the comedy that you get from me. That quote there is pure gold. That quote about gold. So we got that. I wanted to answer 2 questions today. 3 questions. The first question is from Alex, and he wants to know about, is there a good muscle therapy I can recommend? And I have a recommendation for that. And that recommendation is not going to be what you may be expecting, but please hear me out. You guys that are asking me for advice, the reason why you're asking me for advice is because you are sensing a pranic field in me that feels confident. And there's nothing wrong with that, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. But you are sensing that I have all these fields and they're really full. You get that buzzing from me. And because of that, you see your own answers by looking to me sometimes. And because of that, you're going to find it natural to expect that I would be a solution to something else outside of you. And so when you ask about muscle therapy, there's nothing wrong with asking for advice. But here's the answer, and I hope I've been trying to explain this for a while, so this isn't new. The answer is going to be whichever therapy harnesses the most amount of your belief is going to be the therapy that works for you. And this is a long-term extraction effort, meaning that if you believe that you are sick, you believe that you have a disease inside of you, if you believe that, then if someone gives you an antibiotic, something that's actually doing some serious damage to your entire system, it won't actually matter, because your belief in the fact that you have a disease, and in the fact that if you take this pill from a guy in a white coat, that belief is the technology at work. This is what my last book's about, technology belief. It's your belief that's actually doing the most good. Now, you might ask, well, James, how come faith healing doesn't work? And I'm saying, because if you get bit by a rattlesnake and it fucking hurts and you feel the venom coming through your hand, what happens to your belief? What happens to it? If you believe that you can cure leprosy by skinning a cat and the leprosy stays on you, what happens to that belief? Does it survive long enough for your body to heal itself? Sometimes it does. Sometimes it does. Sometimes you are able to do that, and it's able to sustain itself long enough, and it will work. In fact, if you look at all of modern science, you will find that it's riddled with belief technology. Almost all of it is riddled in belief technology. And we've been over this, but a white powdered pill in our minds, in the zeitgeist minds, is more potent than a leaf, than chewing on a leaf or a root. That white powder pill is more potent if we paint it yellow. If we give it a slick coating of yellow, that pill is now more potent. It's the exact same ingredient, but now it's more powerful. If we take that yellow pill that's been painted yellow and we stamp the letter E on it somehow, like with blue letters, it says E, that pill is now more potent. It's now 4 degrees more potent than chewing on the root itself. If we take that yellow pill with blue letters and we turn it into a freaking capsule, a 2-sided capsule, and one side's yellow and one side's blue, and it's got the E on it, it's even more potent. If you can see inside the capsule and see a bunch of little balls that are each different colors, that's even more potent. I'm not making up any of this stuff. This is all documented in a lab. I'm just regurgitating the please look this up, placebo effect. After the capsule, it keeps going. It keeps going. Because after the capsule, the box it comes in is going to either help or hurt your belief technology inside. Is it a shiny, is the box shiny? Does it have a gloss coating on the box? If it does, it's more potent. I shit you not. If a teenager in shorts gives you that capsule pill out of that box, it will not be as effective as if a white man above 50 with a dick does it. It was more effective if you get it from a dude in a white coat with gray hair. If he has a clipboard in his hand, it is even more effective. I'm not kidding. None of this is kidding. Look this up. Prune my lips, but look this up. Doesn't need pruning. I don't mind you trying, though. The thickness of his clipboard. I'm not kidding. The thickness of his clipboard is a factor. Does he have one sheet of paper? Does he have a giant stack? Drug companies have to find how the placebo works for one reason. Because they have to remove the placebo effect so they can prove that the chemicals they have inside there still somehow do what they claim it to do. And when they look at those chemicals, sometimes they may have as little as effective, say 5%, while the placebo is 35%. So you're looking at 1/8 of the entire medicine that you take is actually maybe related to the chemical effects it has, while 7/8 of it is purely based on your psychosis around that pill. And think about it. When you swallow a pill, you're under the impression you're putting something inside your body. You're not. We've been over this. You're putting it inside your torus. But still, you're under the impression that you're putting it inside your body. That itself is a belief technology, because you believe that you put something inside you that was not there before. Therefore, if a change could happen, you could then thank what you put inside you to make that change happen. It's a crucial part of placebo. It's a crucial part of this belief technology. So if you're looking for a muscle therapy, you need to start here. You need to look at everything you can find and figure out which one harnesses the most belief in you. Which ones makes you go, that feels the most right to me. And you're going to blame it on, well, it's because the science is backed up. You're going to insist it's because of the science. Even though you know that science, in 20 years, half of that science will be considered fraudulent and wrong. Not kidding. Half will be wrong. Not only that, but two-thirds, it's like a lot. 2/3 of all lab results cannot be repeated independently. 2/3. All of this is belief technology. That's why they've made plants illegal. That's why they make people who write plant things, like our friend Benjamin Balderson. That's why they make you write not medicine. Why? Because the placebo effect is so frickin' strong that that's all it takes. All it takes is a government writing, this is not medicine. And I've seen this happen. I saw it happen with my dog. Not this one, my other dog. I took him to the vet, and he wasn't able to be helped. And it took me a couple weeks to realize the reason why I can't get help here is because I don't believe in this medicine anymore. And I shit you not, my dog healed himself. I'm not saying that that's always going to happen, and please don't hear me saying you should not seek out anything. I'm telling you to look at your beliefs and realize that if you believe in this muscle therapy called muscle tropichy, tripiotomy, I'm making this up. If you believe in musculosis, or I don't know, if you believe in something, you're creating this vortex. You're building up your chi, and you're emitting that belief into this technology that you're now going to take. And it's either going to help you or hurt you. But more importantly, it's either going to affect your belief or it's not. It's going to reinforce it or it's going to take it away. It's going to do one of those two things. Which is why if you're looking for these answers, by asking me, you've already abandoned your assemblage point. I need to explain that before I do. The well-read poet gave me a super chat. Toltec sorcery. A warrior does not just believe and leave it at that. A warrior has to believe. And it is the basis of his or her strategy. Well said. Perfect timing, too. Assemblage point. What do you mean, James? When you, I gotta get a new coat. I realize some of you think, man, sorry about that. It's gotten worse. Every time I pull it on, it seems to fall apart more. The assemblage point. If you believe in the white lab coat, that your fulcrum, someone said fulcrum the other day, and it's like perfect word. Your fulcrum leaves your body and goes inside the doctor's body, who's about to give you something. And you want that because you're looking for help from the doctor. And because you're looking for help, you're willing to give him the reins to your belief manifestation. So you hand him the reins. And this is why some doctors do really well with the same treatment, other doctors don't. It's because of the patient's ability to hand their reins over. How easy or how hard was it to hand their reins over? And that's why if you look back at the examples I just gave about placebo, right, about all the different steps, boop, 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 white pill, yellow pill, capsule, blah, blah, blah. Oh, by the way, at the very, very top, frickin' syringe. If I stick you with salt water that did nothing else but make you think it helped, you will heal yourself because it came in the form of a freaking syringe. I'm not kidding. That's all it takes. And your assemblage point leaves your body and it goes somewhere else so it can turn around and look back at you and say, yes, we're trusting Dr. Jones. He's going to help you now. You need to bend over and we're going to stick this suppository up you. And if you believe that, you will do that and you will feel better. You will feel better. It's the best analogy I can come up with it is, imagine that you're living in a world that you can't see your hands, but you can see their shadows. Imagine trying to learn what your hands are, how they work, how they function, by never being able to see them directly, but by only being able to see the shadows they cast on the wall. And I would say to you that some days you would believe that your fingers are made of bunny rabbits. Some of you would believe that your fingers are made of dog. This is how good the show is, right? This is you will believe that that's what your fingers are all about, that they're these magical shape-shifting creatures. You don't fully understand how it works, because all you've ever had your entire life is a two-dimensional on-off, a binary of shadow or not shadow, to give you the idea of how they function. And that's what belief technology is. That's why it's so hard to explain. That's why it's such a hard theory to explain. That's why in my book I wanted to approach it from, here it is from Cleopatra, here it is from the Oracle at Delphi, here it is from Caesar, here it is from Sabbatai Zebi, here it is from Gloria Vanderbilt, here it is from all these different people that are completely different walks of life, that are conveying to you how powerful their belief is, that it's their belief that does more than the physical, material items or tools in our tool set. It's like I said, the ritual, it's like being a magician and getting lost on the ritual. Being a baker, if you open a cookbook, nowhere in the ingredients does it say baker. You need a baker. Number one ingredient is you need someone to put all this shit together. You need an alchemist, right? It never says that. The most important vital tool in a cookbook is never conveyed to you. Yet you're reading the book of instructions which telling you exactly what's required. But nowhere does it say you need someone who's awesome with their hands at whisking. You need someone who has the muscle ligature required to frape an egg, right? It never says that. But why not? It's the most obvious thing, and that's why not. And that's how you're missing belief technology, because it's right there. It's blatant camouflage. It's so in your face that you cannot comprehend it. It's part of this illusion that we have where we're insisting that our eyes are seeing when it's actually not. This belief technology is more important than the best advice, the coolest podcast ever you listened to, or the most fascinating book you read. What's more important than all those is the baker. You are the baker. And this is why one person can practice a corner kick with a soccer ball, football, for 15 years of his life and still not be very good at it. And someone else can practice a corner kick for 15 years of his life and be the best at it ever. It's not genes. It's not super secret spy things. It's not genes might have something to do with it, but think about it. Here's why genes have something to do with it. The reason why genes help is because epigenetically, you gain wisdom. Just like you gain trauma, epigenetically, you also gain wisdom. You gain power. You gain process. But more importantly, you gain presence. You gain presence. And if you kick that corner kick for 15 years with full presence, full somatic presence, you will be the best corner kicker that ever existed. And that presence can come from your epigenetics, from your grandfather, from your grandfather's grandfather, or it can be taken away from the same people. It's your presence. And that's why yesterday, it's raining outside. I'm digging a hole to bury my dog in my yard. And I'm just fucking crying my eyes out as I'm digging. And I'm so thankful as it's happening. I'm saying thank you out loud. I'm thanking Butter as that's happening. I'm picturing him, his spirit nearby. I'm picturing all the spirits nearby, and they're watching me dig a hole to bury my dog in the rain. And they heard me say thank you. And that was my gift of Baal, right? We all have our gifts of Baal. And it was the hardest, you would think that it would be the hardest thing to call it a gift. But it wasn't. I was so thankful at how much it was affecting me. You know, when you have those deep cries, you guffaw, you know, or your body just guffaw. You're just so sad. You're guffawing. And I imagine that what that was all of Butter's belief in me, all of his spiritual essence in me, was having to come out of me so it could be rejoined with Butter. And as I'm crying, I'm releasing that. And as part of that crying, the crying is a ritual. It's a magic ritual. It's an electrical connection where the capacitor of James has had 16 years for it to fill with prana, with the Butter prana. And all that stuff has to go now. That stuff has to be reaped out. It has to be quickened. Has to be raptured so that Butter can reconstitute and solve his equation. You see this with browser windows. You'll shut down a browser window, and the browser window go, whoa, 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 are you sure you want to do this? And that's what's happening with Butter. He's pulling all of his consciousness together, going, you can't shut down yet. You need to make sure it's all good. And so it gathers up all that prana. It processes it for central processing. If you remember my talk, which didn't get any traffic because it wasn't a live stream, but there's a video in my library called ayahuasca and other. It's about. It looks like it's about drugs, but it's explaining what's happening with your pineal. It's explaining that your consciousness is a suicide trigger. I'm going to go into this real quick so you can hear me. Your consciousness is a suicide trigger. What that means is that you're constantly holding the button down that keeps you alive. This button is called DMT inhibitors. That's what this button is. As long as this button's pushed, your DMT is being inhibited. Okay? DMT is being made all the time. Always. It will always be secreted. DMT, 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 DMT. Consciousness is literally you telling the DMT, don't die, don't die, don't die, don't die, I'm still alive, 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 I'm still alive. And DMT's like, if you stop saying you're still alive, right? If you let go of this button, it's over. This entire system is being reaped, raptured, and sent back to central processing, sent back to God. And that's why the neocortex is always like, I'm still alive, man, I'm still alive, 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 I'm still alive. And technically it's not just the neocortex, because if you were to go under anesthesia, your limbic system is doing it too. But your entire system is telling your pineal gland, dude, I'm not dead, I'm not dead, I'm not dead. And the DMT is like, I think you're going to die any minute, you're going to die any minute, you're going to die any minute, you're going to die any minute. And your consciousness is like, nope, I'm still alive, I'm still alive, I'm still alive, I'm still alive. There could be nothing. Guys, take it back to technology of belief, and please hear that. Hear that charge. I'm still alive, I'm still alive, I'm still alive, I'm still alive. That's your cells going, I am, I am, I am. Think of that as electrical field, just like the giraffes, right? Hear it. I am, I am, I. Now hear what your DMT wants to say. I am not, I am not, I am not, I am not. You could not have a bigger spark gap. Your pineal and your pituitary. It's like the top of Jacob's ladder, isn't it? The hottest of positives and the hottest of negatives competing for one reality, which is this dude alive or not? Constant. That is belief. Two sides having the same belief opposing each other. in constant struggle, in constant dance, in constant symbiosis. You are an electrical suicide cell waiting to be awoken. And the other part of you is a hostage negotiator going, don't do it, man. Don't do it. 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 This is precious. I am. I like this life too. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. And then one day you're ready. One day you're ready. And that spark gap closes. And the second it does, all of your consciousness is reaped and raptured in a millisecond. And that's why people say, seeing the tunnel of light. That's what people see. They're seeing the resolution of I am. Good or bad. They're seeing it. I want to get into buzz today, but I've taken too long. In fact, let me just do this. Lauren asks, well, how do I align my assemblage point? And the answer is, you can't ask me that. All you can do is use your mood at all points in time during the day. Use your mood, and it will tell you where your assemblage point is. Here's what I mean. Look in the mirror. Go do mirror stalking. Look in the mirror and find what's the first thing that you do not like about yourself. I'm not asking you to look for something you don't like, okay? Let me rephrase it. Look at yourself in the mirror. How do you feel? Are you happy with how you feel? Or is there something unhappy? All right? Write down both. Both are important. Let's say that you were me maybe 7 years ago. And you look in the mirror and you're balding, right? You've got this receding hairline. I would see that and I would think, I am broken. Where am I broken, James? I am broken up here. That somewhere up here, I am broken. And I am. I mean, look, that looks really bad, right? I mean, it's uncouth, right? Well, you should just shave your head. Fuck you. Fuck you. I shouldn't just shave my head. I should do whatever I want to do. And that's why I don't wear a hat a lot. I know I'm wearing a hat right now, but it's cold as hell and this window's open. But the first thing I do is I look in the mirror and I see that. And I realize that that's an electrical, my confidence before, I don't actually mind my hair now. My confidence before was showing that I had a leak up here. I was leaking prana up here. If I was overweight, I'd be leaking prana around my belly. When I look at my thighs, because my thighs I would be leaking prana around my thighs, right? Your reflection of yourself is a pranic barometer. It's showing you where you have strengths and where you lack. The things that you really love about yourself are showing you, wow, look how strong my field is around my chin, if you like your chin or whatever. It's you will find where your strengths are and where your weaknesses are. And when you find your weakness, be grateful for that. And that weakness is going to be, my assemblage point is not fully here because I've idolized someone else or I'm looking for answers from someone else outside of me. It's easy to do this. You'll stand around a giant and you'll just naturally feel, I could be taller. How come I'm not tall enough? If you don't have the constitution, the spiritual, energetic constitution, when you're around someone tall, you will automatically feel I'm not tall enough. But when you're seated fully, you don't feel that way. You might feel inspired to stand taller, and that's the key right there. I'm giving you the answer right now. It's so subtle, but it's there. It all comes back to your belief. And if you need someone else to tell you how to bring your assemblage point back, what's going to stop you from asking tomorrow, how do I fix this? How do I fix this? How do I fix that? Because the answer is always a technology belief. It's always that. Even if it's a system that requires a physical, it required me to bury my dog yesterday. It's a requirement that I had. It was part of the process. Even though it was raining, that was part of the process. In fact, I enjoyed the fact that it was raining because it made it more real. It made it more visceral. I was thankful for that. It's the way I feel this morning when he wasn't there. I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for how much it hurts because it shows how connected I was. when you can immerse yourself in these feelings of sadness as much as you can immerse yourself in feelings of glee, you're fucking right on, man. Your assemblage point is right where it is. It's so centered that people who don't know you will send you letters and ask you for advice. And that's what I see. When I look around and I ask how my assemblage point is, I see evidence of just where it is all the time in the way other people treat me. I would argue that the super chat I got from Chris Jones is evidence of that pranic connection. It's an electrical connection that was completed. Butter Spirit is forever. I can see how much he meant to you, and it warms my heart. Thanks, man. Yeah, Butter's just... I fucking love that guy. Aaron asked me, well, what's your impression of meditation? And I'm going to go back to technology of belief. I don't think you guys should be meditating. Oh, what did he say? Oh! I think you should make your life your meditation. That's the meditating I think you should do. Well, James, if you don't have time for meditation, then you need twice the meditation. No, if you don't have time for meditation, it's because you were having connection with Saturn where you've got some usury going on, where you've got a debt with him, and you can fix that. The key to all this is being immersed in the moment. I could not have ever created the dojo situation in my own life without any help by setting up a 16-year love with a dog and having that taken away. I could not set that up in a gym. I can't call the Y and go, hey, I need a spiritual growth. Can you come in and befriend me for 16 years and then go away? And make me, not make, but, and have me be the one that ends your life. Can you do that? Ugh. You can't get that in the Y. You can't get that in school. You can't get that through friends. You get that from here, man. You get that from life. You get that from what you go through. That is the technology of belief. And when something hits you hard, you're either going to abandon your cockpit or you're going to go, thank you, Baal. You fucking asshole. Thank you, Baal. Because that's what I was saying yesterday. Was this hurt so much? Thank you. And as I was guffawing, I just kept trying to sink deeper into it. I wanted to sink deeper, not further away. And as I'm digging the hole, the mailman shows up. He wants to give me a package, and he's having a totally different day, isn't he? He's like, do-do-do-do-do-do. Gets out of the car, tries to leave the package where my dog's body's lying. He thinks it's asleep. I'm like, no, don't put it there. He doesn't want to walk up to me. I'm covered in mud. I've got a shovel in my hand, and I'm crying my eyes out. He doesn't know what the hell's going on. But I didn't ruin it. I didn't let that ruin it. I would have ruined my reverence for Butter if I would have tried to compose myself and tried to convey or tried to ignore it or tried to suppress it. No, that dude was in the ceremony, whether he liked it or not. I brought him deep. He sat down on the pew with me, spiritually speaking, and was like, holy fuck, this is happening right now. And that shows you whose assemblage point was stronger, mine or his. And I don't mean that maybe strong is not the right word, but just more broadcasty, right? Who was broadcasting more? Whose was more centered, which would lead to a stronger signal being sent. And that's your job. And the best way to teach your kids is to every time something bad happens, they're looking at you and they're seeing, wow, my dad's heart is like right in the middle of his fucking chest right now. And it's just bleeding. It's just bleeding right in front of my eyes. It's amazing. Instead of, everything's fine. Yep, oh yeah, thank you. Thank you for saying I'm sorry. So we have so much to learn here in a beautiful way. And the reason why Lord Technology is so mean is because we've gotten so good at this that it requires this kind of bullshit. It requires this kind of stuff to happen. I got a lot more for you guys, but I'll save it. I'll save it for now. I was gonna go into Buzz Aldrin. Maybe I can squeeze this out because I want to catch Owen today. You know what? I'm gonna save it because it's about his signature. I'm sorry, guys. Let me leave you with this. Buzz Armstrong's signature is worth about $500. Neil Armstrong's is worth about $2,500. Now you can say, "Oh, it's because of rareness." That's all. It's just because of it. No, it's because of his essence. And a long time ago, a Masonic organization said, "Hey, Bud, do you want to be higher up in the Masons, like higher than anyone else?" And when they asked him that, someone took a shoehorn and stuck it inside Buzz's chest and popped his assemblage point out. Just went, and just popped it out. And they put it on their shoulder and said, "Buzz, do you want to be behind me? Do you want to be one of us, higher up?" And Buzz said, "Yes. Yes." And they said, "We're going to need you to do the most patriotic thing ever." And Buzz said, "Well, what's that? You want me to get in a fighter pilot and go really fast?" "No, Buzz. We want you to lie. The most patriotic thing you can do for your country right now is lie. And if you do it, we're going to make you a super secret Mason with super secret privileges." And because Buzz didn't have a assemblage point inside his chest, he said, "Okay." And he went home to his mom and he said, "Hey, Mom, the most amazing thing happened." She goes, "What, Buzz?" I got picked to do something really important for our country." She goes, "Well, that's great, Buzz. What?" And he goes, "I have to lie. I have to lie about going to the moon." And Buzz's mom said, that sounds like a bad idea, Buzz. I don't think you should do that." And Buzz said, "You didn't understand. You don't understand, Mom. You don't know how important this is, why it's important. You see, it's about the spirit of America, and when it comes to nationalism, and meanwhile, Buzz is thinking, I will be redeemed. I will get my assemblage point back. It will make me a higher level Mason." And Buzz's mom was so ashamed that she said, "I cannot bear the brunt of being famous for this." And she took enough pills and emptied her life vessel on her bed, killed herself. And there was no going back for Buzz. There's no way he could come back from that. And it made it a sacrifice. And Buzz got his wish. His assemblage point is now inside of all of you. His assemblage point was obliterated into millions and millions of pieces and placed inside of each of you. And the way you feel about him is a direct reflection over how he feels about himself. And that is a gift of Baal, to show you how awful it is to do that to yourself. And I cannot imagine any person who is more worthy of being called abused on the pedestal than Buzz Aldrin. You cannot be more abused than that guy. To be called a hero and know it's a lie has got to be the worst thing to have to live through. And to have people coming up calling him a liar probably feels pretty good. It probably feels pretty good. Because it's starting to come out. It's starting to come out. And his signature, even his signature, let's see this. I want you to see how much he moves away from the T here. He's got a T in his name. Sorry, I realize you can't see where my mouse is pointing. You can sort of see what I'm highlighting, so that works. Notice how the T is pushed away from the rest of his words. Here it's really prevalent. See how closed all of his letters are? Except for that T, which is actually a B. He's like, get me the fuck away from the truth, man. His under signature doesn't even go underneath it. He's running away from that. Look at this one. He's just running away from it. And he's rotting inside. And he's rotting inside so much that the very signature of the person that landed on the moon is only worth $500. To people that believe, it's only worth 500. The sacrifices these guys made because they didn't have their assemblage point is a huge gift to Baal. It's a huge gift. I think I'm gonna end it there. Yep. Anything else left, we'll talk about later. Yeah, I'll save it. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for being here today, and looking forward to next time, unless Baal comes and fucks it up, right? All right, take care.